the next match coming up at 7:30 in just a few minutes is going to be MLG versus UNX. Okay, let us take us into draft. I'm so excited.
Yep, so here we are going into the first matchup. I would almost be tempted to say it's a grudge matchup at this point. There's a lot of history in this matchup with it going different ways. Each time it seems to be played, always seems to be some controversy in the draft. So speaking of the draft, what do you think we're going to be seeing banned away first?
So I would not be surprised if actually Idris gets banned on the side of MLG as a target ban, both on Nestukas and on Rick, who actually have Idris as their most played hero. It could be a legitimate ban, and you also leave these contested captain picks, such as the Lorelei, the Arden, the Finn, the Yates, Churnwalker. They're all really good right now in 3.8 meta, and as you see that Churnwalker getting banned away.
Yeah, so I think relatively standard bans to go with Anchor and Churnwalker, both incredibly strong heroes and can be, in particular case of Anchor, and Churnwalker as well, can absolutely take over games and begin dominating them. So it would be interesting to see. So a Yates ban does come out from the side of MLG, so they're not going for that target ban, which you suggested they would.
Mm-hmm.
Does seem like Potato Wi-Fi has interjected again there for a minute. So in terms of bans coming out from UNX, they obviously have a lot of different options here. They do decide to go with the Finn ban in the end. So would you like to explain some reasoning behind that, Highland, if your Wi-Fi is working again?
Oh yeah, I'm back. So the Finn ban is actually a very strong ban.
And the Wi-Fi has gone once again. So we do see Arden get picked up by UNX, followed by Reza. Arden Reza is an
incredible.
Arden...
And you do see this Finn will get banned away, and also teams struggle to sometimes block the Finn, which is also a little bit dangerous. If that Finn does pull in one member, maybe your carry, maybe two members, you can instantly see that team fight swing to the side of the enemy team.
Yeah, so now we have seen, obviously, the Arden Reza get picked up by UNX, which in itself is an incredibly strong combo, incredibly flexible, amazing engage you have with that, and you can make the Reza incredibly tanky, followed by a kinetic Inara pickup. So what do you think of the Inara, Highland? Because I've heard that it's not actually the strongest pick from some people.
So Inara is actually a incredibly strong 5v5 hero when she's put into these penta-Q situations, when you have all your members in a voice call, when you can engage as a team. And Inara she's all about her team fight ability, right? So when you have everyone in a voice call, you can tell everyone exactly when you're going to use your ult, when you're going to dash in, and with that second tap on the ultimate, you see that Inara dashes straight into the enemy team, and it also is a really good engage in, and teams will then have to focus Inara, because then if it is weapon power Inara, perhaps Inara does so much damage when she can get into the middle of a team and hit 2, 3, 4 people.
So we do see that Celeste then being picked up by MLG as well. So that's going to be presumably going on to Callisto, and then they're rounding out their composition with a Catherine. What do you think UNX should be looking to round out their composition with here?
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they do pick up an Idris, but considering that they do actually have the bot lane already sorted out, that Scarf does look like a nice pick. Maybe Varia would be good, but you know, Scarf is a decent pick. Actually, they're gonna go for the Melina. I've seen Lolly play quite a bit, and she is a decent Meline. However, I do feel like MLG have this advantage with the range, with Ex-Calista on this Celeste and Flourish. She's so strong on this kinetic. And even if they do try to dive in with the Reza, this Lorelei counters Reza so hard with the splashdowns and the water wall, which you can provide on any of those carries that get jumped on.
Yeah, so overall, looking at the compositions here, who would you say has the stronger composition?
I feel like if they can lock someone down, UNX has the composition with the Arden, with the Lance, they can definitely CC chain people, and also with the Rebuke on the Silvernail. But I would probably have to give it over to the side of MLG with this brilliant team fight composition. If they can work as a team, this composition is going to work very well.
Yep, so I would also like to say MLG, I think they've drafted themselves an incredibly strong composition here. They've got the ability to stop that incredibly strong dive coming out from the Idris. Not from the Idris, from the Reza, which we know can definitely be an issue. But here we are, we're getting right into the first game of this King of the Hill event. Is going to be MLG up against UNX.
Yes, it's very exciting, and you talk about this match being so important with either UNX or MLG, whoever wins this, and we can't say who's going to win it because it changes every time, as you say. It could be the winning team, perhaps, if these other teams from other guilds that are coming into their first KOTH
Yeah, so they're
can't
going
stop.
into a little engagement. That's a nice impale coming out from Lance to find that early damage onto the Inara. But
And
now
then
Rez is having
B2.
a lot of the damage returned onto him, and he is going to go down. That's first blood going on over to MLG. Arden also going very low here. Rikudu's taking a lot of chunk damage. He's also going to go down. Lance really needs to get out of it, but he's not going to be able to. Great stun from the Catherine, and that's a quick 3 kills being picked up from by MLG. That's a little bit of an over-aggression there by UNX in the jungle and getting caught out by the 5-man grouping.
Definitely. The 3 kills going over to the side of MLG. Just a bit of positioning errors from the side of Union X, and you do see now these back camps being taken away by the side of Florishu and Pack on this Inara, and also that crystal tree CP buff, sorry, from Florishu, who has that buff now.
Yeah, so that's, and the fact that Lolly Lunia has not been able to trade buffs, as is usually done at this sort of time in the game, is definitely going to give her a disadvantage in this mid lane
Lolly
matchup.
Lunia
As we
going
can
very
see,
low. Be careful.
Yeah, you can see her taking a lot of chunk damage there. She went to go in for a little bit of a trade onto Kalisto, but she just wasn't able to find the damage. Looking at this sort of bot lane matchup, we've got a Kinetic going up against an Arden. Do you think that the Kinetic, Florjo's Kinetic is going to be able to take full advantage of the fact that he has a massive range advantage here?
I definitely feel like he could. You see Kinetic and Celeste, such a good composition. They bring so much range, especially post level 8. Hang on, Law going a bit low. Shadow Tendrils coming out onto Law, goes very low, not got a flash to survive, so he will actually have to back off. But you see this range composition coming out. Impale will miss.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of trade damage going on in the mid lane as we do see the Catherine rotate down. Not going to be able to find a kill, but this is the thing with that CP buff going on over to Celeste. Even though it's not a massive increase in damage early, it's enough that she can get dominant trades in the matchup.
Onto Kalisto, has to use a core glance onto Rick to stop that engage going any further.
Yeah, not able to quite find the engage there, but now we see Reza going onto the Catherine.
Now the fish food comes out, and NMB2 is going to have to back straight out of that one. 3v1 doesn't want to do that yet.
So we haven't really talked much about this Silvernail so far. How do you think that's going to play into this matchup?
So this Silvernail is actually going to be very strong. You see this Arden, this Lance, and this Silvernail. They've got so much pushing ability with the Lance and the Silvernail, which is great into the Arden because you can knock people into the gauntlets, of course. And if you can land something like that in a team fight, MLG could drop insanely quickly.
So we do see a steal coming through
will come
onto
out.
that CP.
And they will steal that away. Malamba, very sneaky, will get that CP buff on the side of MLG's jungle. And that will be a little bit of a good rotation round, considering that they did actually get both of the CP buffs stolen from them in the first rotation.
Yeah, so they're definitely getting back in there. We could already see a lot of pressure building up in this bot lane now. Rikudu, he's down around half HP, and his turret's been taken away a quarter to a third of its health already. And that just comes from... Yeah, this just comes from this Kinetic just completely harassing that range advantage. Florisho is playing it incredibly well, and we haven't seen quite the same effect come out from Nestukas in this top lane yet.
Law going a little bit low, has to run back under his turret as Malama does go back into the mid lane. That Impale and Giphy and Wall could spell a bit of disaster for Law. who actually does have his flask back up now, but doesn't really want to use it yet. He wants to try save it for a team fight.
Definitely. Talking of this mid lane matchup, Lolly Lunia really needs to be getting some work done in this early game, which is why those 3 kills on that first rotation were so disadvantageous to her. She does manage to land a nice root.
On the turret, going very low with the shadow tendrils who do chunk into lore.
So we're going to see them rotating back down into the bot lane and trying to help Rikudu. So now this is a 3-man rotation into the bot lane. They're going to try and look for some kills here, but they're not going to be able to find them initially. But meanwhile, we do see Kalisto managing to win out this mid lane a little bit more. But I don't know. I just feel that if UNX don't get anything done in this early game, that this incredible team fight composition, which you've been talking about for MLG, is just going to be able to win through once we get later into the game.
For sure. You see this MLG composition that spikes so hard late game. Hang on, Rez is jumping in, does manage to steal that CP buff, and they're not going to really be able to do much about that. That's a bit feels bad, man. Is it? NMV2 just jumps straight in and steals that one against MLG.
Yeah, so they've been doing a good job of that UNX, which is definitely something very good to see. You need to be getting in the faces of MLG right now and trying to get that, because Kalisto got 2 kills in that early engagement and then got an assist on one of the others. And if she was permanently picking up the CP buff, that could prove incredibly detrimental. Meanwhile, first turret of the game does go over to the side of UNX, but I expect that we'll see the bot lane turret very soon to follow on that. Rikudu being pressured back heavily here. But he's being able to delay, and that's always a positive. It always feels great to take the first turret.
Law going very low again. Law getting a little bit caught out of position every so often by Lolly, who does manage to use like Ribbon and Shadow Tendrils combo. Kalisto getting jumped on by the lands, but it's going to be Law who just gets chopped down by the Shadow Tendrils on Lolly, who just straight through the team of MLG. So the Storm will come out, takes Lolly a little bit low, but she's so far back, they're not really going to get any more MLG from this.
Yeah, and the problem with Law overextending here and taking this poke damage, which he doesn't need to do, is the fact that it's forced Catherine to rotate in, which means that Nestucast is having an incredibly easy time scaling up in that top lane.
Lolly
But Floris here.
Malabo will get perhaps caught out. The root will come out from Lolly, who does save land. You got to be careful about that. You see that ultimate coming out and NV2 coming in. The Crucible will get popped from the side of MLG. Misses on the fish food, but the Catherine Stone will come in. Now, both teams kind of low, can't really engage back into this fight. You see Silvernail having to rotate down.
Yeah, Silvernail had to rotate in there, and he didn't really get there in time to have a full effect on that team fight. Meanwhile, it was a very back and forth affair with Kinetic almost catching out Lolly Looney in the beginning, but they do manage to take away the CP buff, which is always nice, in getting that gold onto your Kinetic, trying to get Florisho in a position where he can just single-handedly begin carrying this game, because that's the ideal situation for MLG. Lolly Looney is going to contest the CP buff though here, so look, and Kalisto actually manages to secure it for once.
Kalisto, very clutch that she managed to steal that away. That means both CPU buffs again will go to the side of MLG, and you see that 1k gold lead now opening up for the side of MLG as well. And this mid lane getting pressured though by the side of UNX. Lolly's actually done a very good job in making sure that Kalisto on this early game Celeste, now she's reached level 8 now, she's been doing a great job on pressuring the Celeste when she didn't have such range on her Heliogenesis.
Yes, now she does have that range. We're definitely going to see her beginning to force Lolly Lunia back, as is happening at the moment. Inara is diving in.
Wicked Escape will come out. Lolly will be able to get out of that. Nothing's going to happen. And you see now, just both teams kind of making sure they get their CS, but don't really want to get caught out of position.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a thing with UNX. They have been caught out of position a couple of times already, it's particular that early game rotation coming back to it. And that's now 2 turrets being picked up from this Kinetic. From UNX having that turret advantage, that's quickly been brought back because of this range advantage up in this bot lane.
Kinetic doing work, and you see that gold lead now come up to 2k really, or 1.5k to 2k on the side of MLG. And with that turret being taken, that really is kind of Kinetic on his bot lane, bringing that gold lead in favor for Merciless Grind.
Yeah, definitely. And the advantage, obviously, of taking a lot of turrets there is that they can now look towards this Ghost Wing. And Ghost Wing would be a great objective for them to take right now because they've got that team fight focused composition and Ghost Wing is suited towards those team fights. It will allow them to dive into those team fights and just take that more effectively and come into a situation where they're almost guaranteed to come out on top. We see Lance now rotating back into the mid lane, but no one's really here and they don't really seem to be like in fighting at the moment, but that's because the CP buff is falling.
4-man rotation onto that CP buff will definitely get that stolen away. Lance gets roosted, but will the Impale come out? And that's going to be 2 members now falling for the side of MLG as Myro actually falls now to the Lance, who manages to bring out that Impale, but the silence from the Catherine will manage to stun onto 4 members there. You see that the Lance now going a little bit low, does have to back out. Flourish rotating back up. And Flourish on this build, help Kinetic can definitely change the fight around if she can start getting kills. Vic jumping in with blood for blood. We'll just kind of trade damage.
Yeah, the fight does seem to be petering out right now, and even though you did see 2 kills coming out there from UNX due to the fact that they grouped early and had really good engage coming out from the Lance and the Arden, the real hero there has got to be Miguel on this Catherine. If he didn't land that silence, that very easily could have been an ace for UNX.
You saw MLG get a little bit caught out. You saw 4 members on the side of UNX and only 2 still trying to take their minions, which really they should have just backed off. You saw that engage from the Reza and the land so strong.
Yeah, that is so strong. It's now Catherine does have to defend her turret up in this top lane. And the fact that it is 2 UNX players here could leave them a little bit open in the mid lane, as Ghostwing does manage to be taken by the side of MLG. Packy's going a little bit low off that, but it doesn't matter because he's going to quickly regenerate that back up with the buff. That should definitely help Catherine in defending this turret up in the top lane.
So the storm will get used and is going to go very wide. Won't find anyone. So that's going to be an ultimate down for Celeste for another 36 seconds, which could affect the next team fight if it does come out very soon.
Yeah, and that next team fight could be incredibly influential because now we see that the Black Claw is on the map. So that is going to be the next objective for them to contest. And what I'd love to see MLG do here is force a team fight. They've got to try and group up, say in the mid lane, say around the dragon, while they've got this Ghostwing buff active, and just go for the fight. Even though they did lose the last one, that's just simply because they weren't prepared for it. They weren't aligned right. There weren't enough people there. It all boils down to. So if they manage to set up with a Ghostwing buff and all of their team there, I can definitely see them taking this team fight.
For sure, definitely. And you see now UNX rotating as a 4-man again, just trying to find something. They won't find anything as MLG a little bit too slippery, will not get anyone caught out on the side of Merciless Grind here. They still are kind of moving around this Black Claw, you see, perhaps trying to find one member who gets caught out rotating to the top lane. However, Arden, such a team fight player, is having to now rotate up and perhaps looking for a team fight. We see Reza on his backside here.
Yeah, Reds are going to look for a little bit of poke onto the Catherine to begin with, but the real engage starts.
Horus who tries to do damage can Stukas, but now it's going to get deleted with the Giffian wall from UNX. Gauntlet will have to be used defensively from Rick, who just has to get away here. And Stukas also so low, had to run away from that team fight. Almost gets blown up by the side of Merciless Grind. And Florishu perhaps overstepping himself, trying to get a kill onto the Silvernail, but realistically, the Silvernail does have the rebuke, and the Giffian all the impales from Malamba as well. You can't really stand on the front line, Kinetic.
Yeah, exactly. That Kinetic just getting a little bit out of position there, but we're not going to be see any objective able to be picked up for Union X, which is disappointing. That's what they really would have wanted out of that pick, especially onto such an important hero for the side of MLG. The fact that they haven't got a major objective from that. Catherine going for the steal, not going to quite be able to get it though.
Oh, Impale does come out. Perhaps the Giffian will know. Going so low, surely gets dropped down. Has to use his dash from the quick pursuit and get away, but it's going to be this mid lane going low and now falling down for the side of Merciless Grind. As you see, UNX now just rotating as a 4-man, very cleverly making sure that Merciless Grind don't get anywhere in on these objectives.
Yeah, definitely. And it's these 4-man rotations which you're talking about, which are being so incredibly effective for Union X so far. They're playing much more as a team than MLG. Even though MLG have drafted this teamfight orientated composition, as we see Ghostwing go over again. And
Wicked Escape, we'll dodge it out. The ultimate Thunder Kinetic, and it's actually going to be Lolly who's going very low here. Pack Ice just quite can't find him under the turret. As enemy 2 also just getting poked out by Flourish on his Kinetic. They're not actually going to find any kills. And although they did find out Michael, they move up and instantly you see Merciless Grind go straight for that Ghostwing.
yeah, and that Ghostwing was a very clever pickup from Merciless Grind, taking advantage of Union X's lack of map awareness and the fact that they were grouped as this 4-man. Therefore, it would take them longer to rotate over, given that they were posturing around the Black Claw, because they consider that the more important objective. They were posturing around that side of the map, so there was just no one there to contest the Ghostwing. And when they tried to engage the team fight, MLG had this Ghostwing buff, and that's ultimately what began swinging it in their favor. Instead, now we see them posturing around the mid lane.
And we see UNX again, 3-man. Arden coming down, Silvernail will actually go for his jungle. They're always rotating with these man advantages, but speaking of man advantage, it's actually going to be MLG as they have 5 members now rotating for his crystal buff. They will steal it. Flourish jumping with a stun will manage to find a 2-man silence onto the side of Union X, takes out 1 member on his Arden. Storm will rip down, straight down onto the Silvernail. He gets deleted by the side of MLG. Going straight under turret, 4 kills now going to the side of MLG as they dive under the turret and delete the side of Lolly and Malamba on his Maline and his Lance. Well played, MLG.
Yeah, that was a great team fight engaged there from MLG. They had the man advantage, and Silvernail was rotating him from, frankly, an unfavorable position. So they saw where he was rotating in from, they took the advantage, and then they engaged. That's given them a turret in the mid lane, and it's also going to give them this Black Claw, which is such a great objective to pick up, especially with their team composition. Looking at Union X's composition, they don't really have the ability to break the MLG siege properly. MLG, as we've talked about before, have this massive range advantage on this side with the Celeste and the Kinetic. So what we could see coming out here could be an incredibly destructive siege if they all commit to it, which they don't seem to be doing so at the moment.
This Black Claw will get taken, but possibly nothing's going to get gained from it. Enemy 2 will jump in. Gauntlet, bit dodgy, will miss out and catch no one on this side of MLG. You see that Soulstorm rip straight through and do half their hell onto Nestukas. They're going to have to run away as Nest having to get that Kinetic blocked by him, and unfortunately Malamba just body blocking too much will go down. And they actually do rotate now and use this Black Claw. However, it's the Pack Eyes getting a bit caught out on a Sonara by the Silvernail. Excuse me, as the Black Claw does go down, they're not quite going to get this 30-tier turret.
They're not going to quite get the 30th turret, but that was still a very effective push. Even if they haven't opened up a massive gold lead from, they're also trying to steal away a little bit of jungle, but unfortunately the timing for that is just a little bit off. They're not going to quite be able to get any of it away. What I'd like to see MLG do here is what I think they're probably looking to do is rotate onto this Ghostwing. With a Kinetic and a Celeste, you can take this sort of objective incredibly quickly. They're not going to do it. In the end, they're simply too afraid of Union X with that man advantage grouping up on them. Instead, they're just going to clear waves and reset for that next team fight. But the silences coming out from Miguel have been so impactful right now. Malamba probably could have saved himself in that siege situation there if he hadn't been silenced while he was walking away. And Miguel being so influential with these titles.
Oh, that's all just ripped right through. As NMV2 gets deleted out of position, catching his jungle when MLG rotate down, not really realizing that, no vision down, and Florishu and this Celeste Solar Storm just ripped straight through the middle of NMV2 on this Reza.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised to see MLG definitely start up this Ghost Wing now, and most of Union X are on completely the wrong side of the map to contest it. Lolly and Malamba are rotating over, and Rikudu is here posturing as well, so it is
Looking
actually an
for a
equal numbers.
3v2. Floshy will have to run away from his fight as he goes down to underneath half health. And that was a nice rotation, but I don't think it's going to stop MLG now with 4 members. 5 members. Miguel now positioning for silence. I'm sure Arden will come out with the gauntlet, but it's going to get blocked out by the side of MLG. However, it's going to be Celeste falling first. Callisto in the middle of Union X, not where you want to be, Celeste. And the water will come out onto Inara, but it's now going to be a 1-for-1 trade as Kinetic and Silvernail get bursted down. Whoever gets this Ghost Wing is going to be really impactful. It is actually going to be side of Union X to rotate back around and steal the Ghost Wing off the side of MLG. Good rotations there.
Yeah, and the most important thing in that team fight was that gauntlet coming out from Rikudu. That was absolutely critical. Although it was blocked out, you may think it's blocked out, therefore it's not going to be as impactful. No, what it did is it split the team. It split off the Catherine and it split off the Celeste, and everyone else was trapped inside of that gauntlet. We don't see Union X manage to pick off this turret, as they do seem to be trying to follow up onto Lolly Lunia. I don't think they're going to fully commit to this chase. I think that's unlikely, even though Miguel does seem to want to. But going back to that team fight, that was just a great gauntlet coming out from Rikudu, and that's the power of this Arden. Gauntlet can be such an influential ability to split a team fight and split a team's damage away from each other. And then NNV2 coming back right in the nick of time to help assassinate those squishy carries. Even though he's not the highest damage dealer on his team, without him there, they're really going to struggle to win these team fights because they simply have no distraction on the back line.
For sure, and you see, although the gold lead is actually even right now, we actually see both of these teams as well coming round and doing excellent team plays. You see, Union X with that gauntlet on the side of Rick managing to split up the side of Celeste and Michael, who went in and then had to back out because he went quite low as they started focusing him, as he got kind of caught out in position, really. And with that gauntlet, you saw Celeste get stranded 1v5, and after that, there was not much Celeste could do.
Yeah, talking of people getting stranded, Kinetic is looking a little caught out in this bot lane here with Lance and Rick there, but she's turning around with a lot of damage right now.
The Solar Storm will rip through onto both members who get lined up for that, and it will be Lolly blocking out the Kinetic on Rick, who would have definitely perhaps died. Silence almost takes him out, but not going to find him, and that's going to be a silence off the board for 40 seconds. Do you think that they should be going in now with a silence down?
I think the silence being down is obviously going to be an incredibly influential factor, but Gauntlet is down for nearly twice as long, and I definitely don't think they think that the silence is going to be a very influential factor, as they are looking for a fight right now.
You see Rick posturing to see if they can get anyone caught out on the side of Merciless Grind, but no one's going to get caught out. Now it's going to be Merciless Grind engaging onto the side of Union X. Only 3 members trying to make sure that they're not going to dive in on their turrets here.
Yeah, they definitely were looking to prevent that engage for a while, UNX, because now that silence, which you mentioned for Catherine or Miguel, is now back up, and Gauntlet is still another 45 seconds off. So if I'm the side of MLG right now, I'm beginning to set up vision around this Blacklaw. Clear out that wave up in the top lane because it's beginning to slow push up there, and start building up this vision around this Blacklaw so you can set up for a fight in an advantageous position in the next 25 seconds or so. Because if they can take a fight then, especially with Rikudu on the other side of the map, he's not going to be able to rotate over there quickly. He doesn't have teleport boots, and they don't know Rez has just backed off, but that's another point of information, and Lolly Lunia's in the mid lane, something they'll be able to see if she ventures any closer to this minion wave. So MLG in a very influential position.
You see so much vision come out, and Dina and Nestor cast on this Silvernail having to run away. Solar Storm will just almost deletes him right there, and surely he goes down. Malamba just tries to defend for his team, but it's going to be Malamba who goes down first. Cannot peel for that long against 5 members of the side of MLG. You know, Stukas getting a little bit caught out of position on this Silvernail, and actually they lose 1 member for it.
They do lose 1 member for it, but it's not the worst possible member you can lose. Malamba's had to sacrifice himself 4 times now because of his team getting out of position, in particular Nestukas a couple of times, and he has been taken out himself a couple of times, but I think the only reason why he hasn't died more is because Malamba keeps putting his body on the line.
Oh man, as they trade that out, and now the Catherine going down, they're going in. Pakai's on his own, not gonna find anything. And you see that Blacklaw is now empowered. You see after post 25 minutes, perhaps that was a actual grave mistake by the side of an Stukas, as that kill did allow him to get that Blacklaw. You see this Blacklaw now pushing down, and perhaps this could be game if UNX can't defend MLG. They're trying to engage. The gauntlet comes out onto one, manages to stun. Flourish, who gets the water will be still full health, doing so much damage on this kinetic. Wicked Escape will come out for Lolly, who's backs off, and the Tripwire is blocking out the side of MLG from killing anyone on the side of UNX. Oh, the Dinosaur red through! Can't quite find the Stocasto.
He is having to use boots and try and get back to the fountain, and MLG are definitely trying to end here. They've got all 5 members here, and Catherine's there as well. They're going for the end onto the Vein Crystal. The Vein Crystal itself is incredibly, incredibly low. Blacklaw is still alive, and it's absolutely stomping down to that Vein Crystal. They managed to take out Catherine, but it's not going to be enough, and MLG take the first game.
They take that game in style. Re-engagement with low members. Solar Storm was the engages. It took those members who were high health down to about just under half health, and you saw that and the Catherine engage with the Kinetic, who was still full health. Flourish, who hadn't really been touched in that team fight, or which allowed him just to sit there and chop away at the side of UNX. And it will be actually this MLG moving on.